The king, devastated after losing his beloved, plunged into despair. For 7 long years, he never touched another woman. In his grief, he issued a nationwide marriage ban. Not a single couple wed in all those years. In secret, the royal eunuch laced the king's tea with a potent elixir, rumored to restore even a dying man's virility. He also arranged for Lana, famed for her bedroom skills, to attend to the king. Lana respectfully brewed tea for the king, unaware her presence would spark a storm. The king, after sipping, felt a strange heat rising through him. The eunuch's plan was working. Lana helped him disrobe, and the medicine began taking hold. Just as the eunuch quietly closed the door, the king realized the woman before him wasn't his crown princess. Enraged, he grabbed his sword and struck. Lana fell. The king demanded to know who had orchestrated the deceit. The eunuch stepped forward, calmly claiming it was all for the sake of the royal bloodline. The king, furious, raised his blade only to be stopped by his most trusted confidant, Hyun-min. Hyun-min pleaded for him to let go of the past, to lift the marriage ban, and bring peace to the kingdom. As crown prince, the king had deeply loved his crown princess. He swore never to take another woman, vowing eternal devotion. Before she died, she warned him not to show weakness, saying she felt like a still lake, calm above but rotting beneath. She was lonely. The prince hadn't understood. Her farewell wasn't just a goodbye, it was a final parting. She told him to live on, not grieve. He thought she didn't truly love him. Shortly after, she was declared dead. He wasn't allowed to see her body. They claimed her death was tied to her disgraced family. The truth? She'd been murdered, and the killer was never found. In a village hidden from the capital, lived Seo-woo, a spirited fortune-teller and secret matchmaker. She helped lovers marry in secret despite the king's law. The king ordered Seo-woo to stay at the palace, so he could see his wife again. As they crossed a bridge, petals floated down. The king, catching a glimpse of her silhouette, mistook her for his lost love and embraced her. Hyun-min was shocked. Seo-woo feared the lie had gone too far. She had to keep pretending to be the spirit of a woman the king couldn't forget. One night, the king couldn't sleep and called for Seo-woo. She claimed strange noises came from weakness. He tested this by sparring with Hyun-min, but fell clumsily. Later, trying to lift the king's mood, Seo-woo playfully teased his appearance. The king, pleased, showed off his body, leaving her flustered. She wondered, would she always live in the shadow of another woman? Meanwhile, a wicked stepmother plotted to marry off her daughter into royalty. To secure power, she once tried to kill her stepdaughter, Seo-woo. Seo-woo and Hyun-min had once been engaged. But on their wedding day, Seo-woo vanished, replaced by a fake bride. The marriage was void due to the royal decree. Years later, fate brought them back together in the palace. Hyun-min, still holding on to the past, watched over her. One day, she discovered eerie sounds were being faked using hidden bamboo tubes, part of a scheme to haunt the king. In an accidental fall, Seo-woo and the king landed in the mud. Hyun-min rescued her. The king grew jealous of their closeness. That night, the king dreamed of kissing his late wife, but woke to realize it was Seo-woo. The line between reality and illusion began to blur. When Seo-woo teased the king about the romance books he secretly enjoyed, the dynamic between them shifted. The girl began chasing the guy. Dressed in red ceremonial robes, Seo-woo was about to be led to the king, but Hyun-min pulled her away. He challenged the king to a duel. If he won, he would take Seo-woo with him. As arrows flew and tempers flared, Seo-woo stepped between them. If you love me, protect him. The king lowered his weapon. Back in private, she asked the question that had haunted her, was she just a stand-in for the crown princess? The king couldn't answer. He commanded Hyun-min to protect Seo-woo, but to never fall in love with her. Hyun-min, breaking formality, asked, have you already forgotten her? That question pierced deeper than any blade. The truth was unraveled. The visions, the haunting dreams, it was all orchestrated. Someone had been manipulating the king's mind. The likeness between Seo-woo and the crown princess wasn't a coincidence. It was part of a greater conspiracy. And now, all paths led back to the love pavilion, where secrets would finally be revealed. A royal scholar, Mr. Kim, inspected the ceremonial wedding gown. The gown worn by the true crown princess had been embroidered with golden thread and carefully preserved by her father. But the one retrieved from the woman in the lake shimmered with a different, brighter thread. It was a counterfeit. The real gown had been stolen, and whoever wore the fake was a fraud. It had all been a grand deception. Clues emerged rapidly. A mirror recovered from the lake revealed the use of smoke and reflections to create the illusion of a ghostly woman. The figure resembling the crown princess wasn't a spirit, she was very much alive and hiding somewhere within the palace wall. The king immediately ordered a full-scale investigation. Every servant's identity would be checked, every room searched. But before the search could begin, the traitor's men acted swiftly. One of them discovered Seo-woo. They knew she, too, had entered the palace under a false identity. Seo-woo, unaware of the brewing conspiracy, insisted she was just a palace maid. But they weren't after just any maid, they wanted her. Before Hyun-min could intervene, guards dragged her away. Meanwhile, the impostor had still not been captured. The king suspected she was hiding among the royal soldiers. Using troop inspections as an excuse, he searched the ranks himself. Then he saw someone suspicious, a soldier who stood stiffly, head lowered. The king approached, lifted the soldier's helmet, and froze. The face beneath was identical to the late crown princess. Shaken, the king demanded answer. Who ordered you to impersonate her? Before she could speak, the traitor stepped forward, shouting, "She's dangerous. Allow me to eliminate her." But the king stepped between them. "Take her alive," he commanded. At that moment, a guard arrived breathless. "Your Majesty, Sorang has been taken." The king rushed to the location where Sorang was held. When he arrived, he found her bruised and bloody. Without hesitation, he removed his own dragon robe and gently wrapped it around her fragile body. Rage burned in his chest. Those who had harmed her were punished on the spot. Cradling her in his arms, the king carried her to his chamber. Thankfully, her wounds were not fatal. Racked with guilt, he blamed himself for failing to protect her. From that day forward, he swore never to let Sorang be anyone's substitute. She would remain by his side, not as a shadow of someone lost, but as herself. But peace was fleeting. A new maid, eerily resembling the late crown princess, was assigned to Sorang's quarters. The king was once again haunted by the past. Loyal ministers cautioned him it was no coincidence. It was a warning. Sorang sensed danger and tried to investigate, but Hyun-min stopped her in time. He revealed a chilling truth: every palace maid who had grown close to the king had died under mysterious circumstances. Sorang was next. Hyun-min pleaded with her to leave. "Let me protect you." But Sorang refused. Whether from duty or something deeper, she remained with the king. Meanwhile, the traitor began eliminating those who knew the truth. In prison, he killed a scapegoat who might have exposed him. Hyun-min arrived too late but found a familiar dagger, once used in an attempt on his own life. Suspicion turned to certainty. But the traitor was clever and, without solid evidence, remained free for now. The king ordered an inquiry into the new maid. Her name was Kyoan. She came from Wonju and had once been a servant there. A local madam confirmed she had disappeared shortly after arriving. This wasn't just impersonation, it was tied to human trafficking. In a remote hill storage site, Hyun-min found signs of captivity. A woman's shoe in the dust. Meanwhile, royal guards dredged a well and found a gown sewn with golden thread, the real ceremonial gown. The pieces were coming together. The traitor had discovered Konan, a girl who looked exactly like the crown princess, and trained her to become a flawless replica. But she was kept under threat, and she would die. But fate intervened. Konan slipped, and with her fall came undeniable evidence of the traitor's plot. Not only had he deceived the king, but he was involved in a trafficking ring for young girls. Before she could testify, the traitor silenced her forever. The king grieved anew. One night, in his drunken sorrow, he mistook a court lady for his lost love and vowed to join her in death. Sorang intervened, cleverly ordering strong wine to sober him. "I will bring her back," she declared. And miraculously, she did. Sorang, using smoke and illusions, revived the spirit of the crown princess. The king, overwhelmed, asked, "Why did you leave 7 years ago?" The illusion responded, "You must let go of the past." "Was it wrong for a consort to love her own husband?" he asked. Sorang, keeping up the act, replied, "Her love was loyalty, not romance." The king grew more conflicted. Her words haunted him. He stopped attending court. Ministers fretted. The palace slowed to a halt. Desperate for answers, the king tracked down the crown princess's old servants. The truth was painful. The crown princess had never wanted to marry. She cried before the wedding. Letters were rare. Perhaps she never loved him, at least not the way he hoped. Sorang gently offered, "Then maybe it's time to let her go." Still, the king needed certainty. He sought out her father. "Did she love me?" he asked. Her father replied, "She should have." It wasn't enough. Sorang then devised a plan, finding the palace nanny. The woman confirmed that while the crown princess may not have loved him romantically, there was sincerity, quiet truth. It was all a fabrication, orchestrated by Sorang. Hyun-min discovered the ruse. "Why lie?" Sorang smiled. "Do you want me to remain unmarried forever? If the marriage ban stays, no one finds peace. But promise me one thing," Hyun-min said. "Don't fall in love with the king." Her silence was her answer. The next morning, the king awoke with Sorang beside him. He smiled, radiant. Even the palace eunuch remarked, "His Majesty has never looked so beautiful." But their bond was tested again. When the king kissed her, Sorang pulled away. "You still see me as her." Heartbroken, she decided to leave. The king, torn, admitted to his minister, "I like her, but I don't know how to say it." The minister laughed. "Your Majesty, you're the most handsome man in the land. Speak from the heart." Later, Sorang's name appeared on the release list for court ladies. The king rushed to stop her. "If you stay, I'll do anything," he pleaded. She was quiet. She didn't know he had been preparing to confess, with a field of flowers awaiting her. Finally, he found her. "Are you leaving because I never confessed? I gave you my heart," she replied. "Did you never see it? I love you," the king whispered. Tears filled her eyes. She was no longer a shadow. They embraced. Hand in hand, they walked to the flower field. The king knelt, offering her a bouquet. "Be mine," she accepted. Later, they celebrated with fireworks. That night, after a little wine, she kissed him and they consummated their love. But joy was fleeting. Duck discovered a box. Inside, a portrait. The bride-to-be? Sorang. He confronted her. "Why did you deny it?" She explained her pain. But when he accused her of hiding because she lacked divine power, the king overheard. Wounded by the lie, he exiled her. Outside the palace, the queen dowager sent assassins. Sorang was pushed off a cliff. Duck jumped after her. They were found days later by a humble family. Hyun-min took them in. Time passed. Back at the palace, the queen consort selection began. Sorang returned as Hyun-min's maid. Deception, sabotage, and identity swaps filled the contest. Sorang was imprisoned unjustly, but the truth surfaced. She was the real firstborn. Hyun-min was the imposter. Justice was served. Sorang was declared the rightful queen. The king abolished the marriage ban. They embraced as cheers rang across the kingdom. And when the wedding day came, even her grandfather wept with pride. Sorang had worn the heaviest crown and become the most honored woman in Joseon. A year later, she and the king were happier than ever. Even Duck found his match in Hyun-min. Their children played in the courtyards, a symbol of new beginnings. Now free from grief, the king and queen toured the countryside, hand in hand, blessed by the people, guided by love.